Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, a lot of people make choices based on what they think is easy and what they think is convenient, and they don't think very far beyond that. I mean, I'm troubled by the heavy reliance on technology because I just wonder what all these people think they're going to do when the electrical grid goes down and they got rid of their gas stove and they have an electric car, and they don't know how to function. They like people I don't they literally don't know how to function without technology, and they're not thinking ahead. I mean, again, the fact that people would go along with in Canada, Justin Trudeau has come up with this electric car mandate or electric vehicle mandate, where he wants it to, I think by 2030, he wants 100% of vehicles sold to be electric vehicles. We obviously heard about this effort to get rid of gas stoves in America a few months ago. Um, and the willingness that people gave up in person work for Zoom work, for
Yeah,
all virtual work. And I work virtually, but I also force
here we
I
are.
force in-person events, right? I before COVID I did a lot. I was doing a lot of talks and panels and things like that. And then of course everything stopped, and it's taken a while for it to pick back up again. And I've really had to fight and really force that to start happening again, because a lot of people very easily just moved over to Zoom. And I don't want to, why would I want to do a Zoom event? I mean, I know that we're on StreamYard right now because there's no choice, but like it's not a replacement. It's not even close to a replacement. And during COVID, I'm sure you recall people were doing like Zoom cocktail hours. And I remember joining one with my friends early on, just to, it was like a couple of weeks in or something like that, and I think we just thought it would be cute. But and I was like, okay, sure, hang out with my friends, and I hated every minute of it, and I found it depressing, and decided I was never ever going to do that again. But a lot of people continued on with it, um, and I just see impending disaster for these people.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see now that the restrictions have been lifted now for roughly a year, year and a half. Maybe it's kind of hard to keep up at this point, but uh, how many people kind of remained in that digital cocoon, and how many immediately broke free? I mean, for myself, again, my probably third or fourth or fifth Skype or Zoom or any kind of video conferencing call ever in my life was doing the war room, and now half my life is spent in this godforsaken realm. I plan to retreat as soon as possible, but for now, here I am. But not that this isn't fun, Megan. I love it. It's a blast. But it's yeah. I think that a lot of people really aren't very amenable to that version of it, and yet, even among those who really kind of bristled at the imposition of this digital culture and work from home culture and all of that, many of them just retain those habits going forward. And it really adds a dark backdrop. These ideas coming out of, especially the World Economic Forum, the Great Reset. I go into it in the book a bit, and it's something that's so cynical, and it's such a just a corny way of looking at the world. But the declaration that the pandemic would be the catalyst for mass digitization, e-learning, e-commerce, e-gaming, so on and so forth, blowing your brains out. It's just I think that there's something really sinister and ominous about it, especially going back to education and kids, and how many kids are now acculturated to e-learning and hybrid learning. And now, as we speak, the introduction of one-on-one AI tutors. If you're familiar with Khan Academy, KHAN, Khan Academy, I can't remember his first name, but he had developed a very, very successful YouTube series on every imaginable subject, an e-learning platform. Many, many, many millions of college students use it. and it's become more professional now. And now, he was recently discussing this with Bill Gates, who's a huge enthusiast. They have developed and are building up an AI platform, a one-on-one AI platform based on GPT technology, meaning that they've trained the language model on course material, and they're kind of guiding the way in which it interacts with students. But it's intended to be this AI buddy that
Mm.
you are just that's the way in which you're trained to seek out knowledge through your AI. It's hybrid, of course. There's going to be humans, but in the same way that you see just the widespread eruption of kind of lonesome shut-in culture of people who identify more with the virtual persona that they are online than they do with the people around them on the street.
Mhm.
um that explosion, you see it already in the adult population. You see it even more in the young adult population. But due to the radical transition in the pandemic and the trauma experience, and the rapid incorporation of e-learning and digital interaction, that generation coming up, many of them are just maybe damaged beyond repair, but certainly they are transformed. And so, however us dinosaurs end up, they will be carrying the torch of civilization forward. And for many of them, again, whether or not AI ever reaches human level intelligence, whether or not a robot ever becomes superhuman in all physical abilities, whether or not they're able to alter the human genome or the human brain to desired specifications as readily as they promise. Again, some approximation already exists. I would assume greater and greater or more refined approximations are not too far down the road. And that culture, that belief system, that sacred canopy, what once was in olden times Christianity, and before that Roman paganism, and so on and so forth, that sacred canopy will be primarily digital, will be primarily technological. And however far they actually get with AI, the most important thing will be that the civilizational totem or the civilizational iconography will have incorporated virtual minds as part of the pantheon. We'll have incorporated the digital footprints of the dead as part of the kind of the saints.
Mm.
And it's we are already, like as I've said many times now, in a strange place. But as these technologies continue forward, become more and more refined, and as people psychologically and socially come to adopt them. The transhumanists often speak of this in religious terms. Many of the people in Silicon Valley speak of this in religious terms. I think they are pretty much correct. We are seeing the rise of a techno-religion, or at least a swarm of techno-cults, and they would be negligible were they not erupting out of prestigious academic institutions, were they not getting footholds in powerful government organizations, from DARPA to the newly formed ARPA-H, the health version of DARPA. And then, of course, the extraordinarily powerful corporations in Silicon Valley, which basically are responsible for most of the cultural infrastructure that we exist in. Uh, they are high priests of a cyborg theocracy. And you may not notice it from 10 blocks away from the temple, but I think all of us at some point or another do our due sacrifice to their AI Caesar, whether you realize it or not.